Every morning at 6 a.m., Joe Martinez unlocked the doors of Home Depot on Camelback Road in Phoenix. For 20 years, customers knew him as the guy who could find any screw, match any paint color, and fix any problem with a smile. He wore the same orange apron, drove the same beat-up Ford, and never talked about anything except hardware and home repairs. Until that Saturday, when a young Marine spotted something gleaming on Joe's keychain, a small bronze cross that only 6,000 men in US history had ever earned. Welcome to the Human Ledger, where we record the stories that matter most. Stories of silent heroes, forgotten legends, and extraordinary people hiding in plain sight. Before we begin this powerful tale of courage, honor, and unexpected discovery, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from today. And if you believe these forgotten legends deserve to be remembered, subscribe and help us keep their stories alive in the ledger of human greatness. Home Depot Store, number 1247 in Phoenix, stood on Camelback Road in the middle of the Arizona desert. The massive orange building was like a pilgrimage site for families doing weekend DIY projects, contractors, and retirees. Inside, it was filled with saw sounds, hammering noise, and customer consultation conversations. Joe Martinez was the calm point in the center of this chaos. 68 years old, medium height, silver-haired, Mexican-American. His speech was soft, movement precise, smile genuine. He'd been working in the same hardware section for 20 years. Every morning at 5:45, afternoon departure at 2. Never late, never sick, never complained. Customers loved him because Joe found solutions to every problem. Which screw fits which wall, which paint suits which room, which tool is needed for which job. Joe knew it all, but he never talked about his own life. Other employees respected Joe, but could never get close. Joe sat alone during breaks, ate lunch in his car, didn't socialize with anyone outside work. When he went home, he lived alone in his one-bedroom apartment on Phoenix's south side. But careful observers would notice some strange things. Joe's metal knowledge. Not just which screw works for what, but the sound differences of metals, quality levels, durability characteristics. Like he'd worked with these for years, his life had depended on it. Or his security awareness. He always positioned himself near exits in the store, showed reflexes to sudden sounds. Especially forklift sounds and engine noises would tense him up. And that strange calendar habit. Joe never took vacation on Memorial Day, Veterans Day, Pearl Harbor Day. On those days, he'd be quieter, more withdrawn. That Saturday morning changed everything. It was a hot Saturday morning in May. The temperature in Phoenix was 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but the store was cooled with air conditioning. Joe was organizing newly arrived screw sets in the hardware section. At 9:30 a.m., a young man approached. About 22 to 23, short hair, straight posture, wearing a US Navy t-shirt. "Excuse me," the young man said. "I'm looking for special screws for submarines." Stainless steel, high-pressure resistant. Joe looked up, looked at the young man's face. "Which class submarine?" he asked automatically. The young man was surprised. "Los Angeles class." "But how do you—" Joe stopped. He hadn't made this mistake in 20 years, but now it was too late. "I mean, what kind of project?" he corrected. "Actually, a hobby project, making a submarine model. I'm Seaman Marcus Johnson, going to Pearl Harbor next month." The words Pearl Harbor created a change in Joe's face. His eyes looked into the distance like he was in another time. "First deployment?" Joe asked. "No, sir." "Third. Do you have Navy background?" Joe was silent for a long time, then nodded. "Used to. Long time ago, Marcus got curious." "What period, sir?" Joe hesitated, then decided. 1975 to 1995, 20 years. From USS Pueblo to USS Missouri, Marcus's mouth fell open. These names were important parts of naval history. USS Missouri, were you there during the Gulf War? Joe nodded. Fire support, 1991. Wow, what was your rank? Chief Petty Officer, weapons control. Marcus couldn't close his eyes. This man was part of naval history. So why here? Marcus asked. Why Home Depot? Joe looked at him for a long time, then checked his surroundings. No other customers. This place is quiet, routine, safe. After coming back from war, I needed peace. Marcus nodded. I understand, sir. PTSD? Some. But the main problem... Joe stopped. What was it, sir? Joe took a deep breath. On USS Missouri during bombardment, something happened. Enemy fire. We lost buddies. I survived. Joe's voice was shaking. Survivor's guilt, Marcus whispered. Yes, I've been carrying it for 30 years. Marcus looked around, then approached Joe. Sir, can I show you something? Joe nodded. Marcus pulled out his keys. There was a small medal keychain on it. Bronze star. Afghanistan, 2019. Lost friends. I survived too. Joe looked at Marcus's keychain, then pulled out his own keys. There was a small bronze cross on it. Marcus held his breath. Is that a Navy cross? Joe nodded. 1991 Gulf. Rescued wounded buddies under enemy fire. But you couldn't save them all. I saved 3, lost 2. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. Sir, you're not a surviving hero, but a hero who saved lives. You're the hero who saved 3 people's lives. Joe looked at him. For the first time in 30 years, someone was telling him this. Do you really think so? Yes, sir. And I'm honored to meet you. Marcus extended his hand. Joe shook it. Sir, I have a proposal for you. What is it? There's a veteran support group in Phoenix. Would you like to come? Joe thought. I've lived with this alone for 30 years. You don't have to live alone anymore. Joe thought for a long time, then nodded. I can try. The next week, Joe went to the veteran support group. It was difficult, but Marcus was beside him. Other group members listened to Joe's story, saw his Navy Cross, showed respect. For the first time in 30 years, Joe felt he wasn't alone. Now Joe still works at Home Depot, but he's not just selling screws and paint anymore. He's helping young veterans, supporting them. There's a small corner at the store entrance. It says Veteran Appreciation Corner. Joe's Navy Cross is displayed there, with the sign saying, Respect for Real Heroes. Joe Martinez revealed his hidden identity to Marcus after 30 years. And from that day on, he changed not just his own life, but the life of every veteran he touched. Because sometimes the greatest heroes work in the most ordinary places. They wear orange aprons, smile at customers, live quietly. But when the right person comes, their heroism that never dies emerges. So I ask you, have you ever met someone like Joe? Someone who seemed ordinary but had an extraordinary past? Write their name in the comments. If this story touched you, subscribe and share. At the Human Ledger, we promise never to forget the silent heroes.